Dear Professor, I am Quincy, and today I am going to present about uh, my project proposal. So, my intended topic is EFL teachers' beliefs and attitudes towards student-centered instruction, an exploratory study at Phan Bội Châu High School for the Gifted. So, the proposal structure typically consists of 8 main parts: introduction, rationale, literature review, research questions, methodology, overview of thesis chapters. This part is optional. Research schedule, and finally, bibliography. Bibliography. Now, let's move to the first part, introduction. So, the requirements for the introduction of a proposal is that the introduction serves as the foundation gateway to the research proposal, establishing the first impression regarding the logical coherence, writing quality, and substantive merit of the intended study. In academic writing, this section must adeptly synthesize 3 core elements. First, it should provide a concise yet informative background and context for the research topic. This involves framing the central theme with a real-world or scholarly narrative, identifying key stakeholders such as educators, policymakers, or specific community groups, and summarizing the extent of existing knowledge. Crucially, this background should be focused, avoiding a broad, digressive literature review. Second, the introduction must contain a clear statement of the problem, which articulates a specific gap or limitation in current knowledge. This statement should be formulated after substantial engagement with the literature to ensure it is precise and supported by relevant citations. Finally, the section must outline the study's contribution, explicitly stating how the proposed research will address the identified gap and what new insights or added value it promises to deliver, often hinting at the methodological approach without delving into detailed repetition of subsequent sections. For instance, in a study on EFL teachers' beliefs in a gifted high school context, the introduction would contextualize the importance of student-centered pedagogy, pinpoint the lack of research in specialized gifted education settings, and propose that this exploratory study will yield unique insights into how teacher beliefs mediate instructional innovation in such environments. The second section is rationale. Following the introduction, the rationale section provides the logical and principled justification for the research endeavor. It systematically explains why the specific topic has been chosen and why it merits scholarly investigation. A compelling rationale is built upon several pillars: a clear explanation of topic selection, a persuasive argument for its academic and practical significance, and strong bibliographic support that cites authoritative literature to substantiate the claims being made. Furthermore, it should concisely summarize the study's broader educational or societal implications. This section moves beyond simply stating interest to constructing a reasoned argument that convinces the reader of the project's necessity and potential impact. In the context of example topic, the rationale would logically argue that understanding teacher beliefs is a critical precursor to successful pedagogical reform, that gifted education contexts present unique instructional dynamics often overlooked in general EFL research, and that finding from this study could inform targeted professional development, thereby holding significant practical significance for curriculum design in specialized institutions. So the third section is literature review. it is a well-constructed literature review is not a mere descriptive summary of previous works, but a critical analytical discourse that positions the proposed research within the existing scholarly conversation. It should be structured to first establish the importance and context of the topic, thereby orienting the reader. It then proceeds to critically appraise and synthesize previous relevant research, evaluating strengths, weaknesses, and overarching trends. The core function of this section is to identify and articulate a clear gap or limitation in the current body of knowledge. This gap directly motivates the present study. Finally, it should explain how the proposed research is designed to explore and fill this identified gap. The literature review must therefore demonstrate a deep engagement with the field, showcasing the researcher's ability to analyze, compare, and contrast sources to build a compelling case for new inquiry. For the example study, this would involve critically reviewing the literature on constructivist teacher beliefs, the implementation of student-centered instruction in EFL context, and the specific pedagogical challenges and opportunities in gifted education, ultimately synthesizing these strands to reveal a distinct lack of integrated studies at their intersection. The fourth section is research questions. So the research questions are fundamental anchors of the entire project, representing the specific answerable inquiries that guide all subsequent methodological choices. A strong research question is characterized by being focused, feasible, researchable, specific, relevant, and sufficiently complex to warrant investigation. The process of formulating these questions involves specifying the core concern, deciding what needs to be known about it, and translating that need into a clear, unambiguous question. It is often likened to the ground upon which a house is built. Without a solid, well-defined question, a logical hypothesis, and a coherent methodological plan cannot be established. These questions must be carefully calibrated to avoid excessive breadth, which makes them unresearchable, or excessive narrowness, which limits their significance. In the exploratory study on EFL teachers, research questions might be crafted to probe the nature and sources of teachers' beliefs about student-centered methods and to investigate the perceived relationship between these beliefs and their actual classroom practices within the gifted high school environment. The next part is methodology. The methodology section constitutes the systematic plan for conducting the research, detailing the how of the study with precision and academic rigor. It must begin by indicating the overarching research approach, whether qualitative, quantitative, or mixed methods design, and justifying this choice in relation to the research questions. This is followed by a thorough description of data collection procedures specifying the instruments, for example, semi-structured interview protocols, classroom observation rubrics, surveys, and defining the sources of data as either primary or secondary. The section must then articulate the procedures for data analysis, explaining how the collected information will be processed and interpreted. For example, thematic analysis for qualitative data, statistical tests for quantitative data. Finally, it is essential to state any key assumptions underpinning the methodological choices and acknowledge potential limitations. For the proposed exploratory study, a qualitative methodology would be appropriate, employing in-depth interviews and classroom observations to generate rich, descriptive primary data which would then be analyzed thematically to uncover patterns in teacher beliefs and attitudes. The next section is overview of thesis chapters, which is optional. Although it is although optional, including an overview of thesis chapters can enhance the proposal's clarity by providing a prospective outline of the final dissertation structure. So the seventh section is research schedule. A realistic and detailed research schedule is vital for demonstrating project manageability and feasibility. This section translates the methodological plan into a concrete timeline, accounting for the duration and sequence of all major activities. The writer must distinguish between tasks that can be conducted concurrently, for example, transcribing interviews while continuing data collection, and those that are sequential. To effectively communicate this plan, it is highly recommended to present the schedule in a diagrammatic form, such as a Gantt chart. This visual tool displays each activity as a time-bounded bar, allowing for immediate identification of the project's critical path, key milestones, and potential scheduling risks. It serves as an essential planning and monitoring device, ensuring the researcher maintains control over the project timeline. And last but not least, bibliography or reference list. So this is a non-negotiable component of scholarly work that underpins the proposal's credibility. It provides a complete, accurately formatted list of all sources cited within the proposal, enabling verification and demonstrating a rigorous engagement with existing literature. The specific formatting style, for example, APA, MLA, or another style mandated by the institution, must be applied consistently and correctly throughout. A meticulously compiled bibliography not only avoids plagiarism but also strengthens the reader's trust in the thoroughness and academic integrity of the researcher's work. For all components of the proposal, adherence to the chosen citation style is paramount. So thank you very much for your attention.